Welcome to my YouTube channel, Secret Affairs Exposed. This is where we uncover the hidden and shocking stories of secret love affairs that were never meant to come to light.
Since you are living here for free, you will pay rent by working as my maid, you useless old woman. Those were the words my daughter-in-law threw at me. Her voice was sharp and cold. I was in the kitchen when a ceramic plate slipped and smashed against the cabinet, sending sauce splattering across my knees. I bent down to clean it out of habit, not because I owed her anything, but because 63 years of life had taught me to diffuse anger where I could. Then I heard the sound of military boots. Upstairs, slow and deliberate, my son David was home, and from the way he walked, I knew he had heard what she said. But to explain how we got to this moment, I need to take you back. My name is Margaret Foster, and I am 63 years old. I had a paid off home in suburban Atlanta, a comfortable retirement, and decent health. My days were peaceful with coffee on the porch in the mornings, visits from friends, and the quiet comfort of knowing I was secure. Everything changed with one mammogram. Dr. Williams looked at me with a calm but serious face and said, "Margaret, the tumor is aggressive and we need immediate surgery. Unfortunately, your insurance has gaps. The total cost out of pocket will be around $87,000. I had only $28,000 saved. That math was impossible that night. My son David called from Fort Bragg. He was 38, a career Army officer and a man who stayed calm and a Chris's mom. He said firmly, "We are selling your house. You will come live with me. And Jennifer, while you recover, we will handle everything." I told him I could not disrupt their lives. He stopped me. "You are not disrupting anything. After Dad passed, I will not risk you going through this." Alon Jennifer came on the line. She sounded warm and welcoming. "We are excited to have you, Mom. Foster, this is perfect timing." 3 weeks later, my house was sold. The surgery happened quickly. After paying for everything, I had $19,000 left, enough to get my own place one day, but not. Now, David and Jennifer had been renting a small townhouse, but with me moving in, they bought a larger home. David used my remaining money as the down payment and put the deed in my name. He said it was to protect my assets. The basement became my recovery suite, with medical-grade bathroom fixtures, a small kitchenette, and a separate entrance. David arranged everything while I was in the hospital. The first 6 weeks were genuinely lovely. Jennifer drove me to appointments, made homemade soup, and watched movies with me in the evenings. I told David during one call, "She has been an absolute angel. I do not know what I would do without her if only I had known what was coming." 1 week before David deployed to Germany for 6 months, Jennifer's warmth started to fade. It was small things at first. A shorter reply, a delayed smile, a sudden coolness in her voice. The day David left, I watched her wave goodbye with the perfect image of a supportive wife. The moment his car disappeared, her eyes changed. The warmth was gone. In its place was something cold and calculating. She smiled at me, but it did not reach her eyes too. Days later, the changes began. She walked into my basement suite without knocking. Claiming she was delivering mail, she left a typed note under my door asking me to keep noise to a minimum before 9 in the morning. Meals became unpleasant. She made casseroles full of onions, knowing I could not eat them because of acid reflux. When I reminded her, she smiled and said she forgot. Then told me to figure out dinner on my own soon. She began hosting girls' nights every Thursday. I could hear her through the heating vents telling her friends how hard it was living with me. She said I was dependent and critical, even about small things like folding laundry. She painted herself as the patient and selfless daughter-in-law caring for a difficult woman. I knew better. This was not thoughtlessness, it was deliberate. I started writing everything down, dates, times, exact words. Sometimes I recorded her when I could. I wanted a clear record because something told me this was only the start. By week 4 of David's deployment, her behavior had become a routine of subtle cruelty. She knocked only once before entering my space. She brought me a printed list of household contribution expectations. It included deep cleaning all bathrooms each week, mopping kitchen floors daily, doing all laundry and grocery shopping. "Jennifer," I said, "some of these tasks might still be too much after surgery." She gave me a sharp smile and told me I had been cleared for normal activity and that this would balance things fairly. Since David worked so hard, she called what she was doing caring for me. But it was anything but care. That afternoon, I called my old church from my phone, Pastor Williams. I said I need guidance about resources for older adults in difficult family situations. He listened and told me about adult protective services, legal aid for seniors, and temporary housing options. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I had choices. I made 2 decisions that night. First, I would build my own case against Jennifer, just as she was building hers against me. Second, I would reach out to David more directly instead of waiting for his scheduled calls. 3 weeks later, while cleaning her bedroom, one of the tasks she assigned me, I found a folded draft of an email tucked in a book. The subject line made my stomach drop: urgent consultation. needed concerning behavioral changes. Email was to a geriatric specialist. She claimed I was paranoid, confused, misplacing items, and accusing her of hiding them. Every word was a lie. She was crafting a plan to have me declared mentally incompetent. I took a photo with my phone. My hands were shaking. This was no longer about making my life hard. She was planning to remove me from my own home that evening. I recorded her speaking on the phone with the doctor. She said she needed written proof that I could not make sound decisions. About my living situation, I emailed the recording to David with the subject, "Urgent." Listen to this recording 2 days later. David called for our regular video chat. Jennifer appeared within moments, sitting next to me with her usual practiced smile. "But I could feel the tension in the air," David said. "There are my favorite ladies." His voice was lighter than usual, but I could tell he was being careful. Jennifer spoke quickly, telling him, "I seemed confused about my appointment schedule yesterday." I said I had no appointment, but before I could say more, David interrupted. "Actually, Mom sent me an audio recording." Jennifer froze. "I am not sure what that would be about," she said. Her voice was tight. David continued, "It was a recording of you talking to a doctor about having my mother evaluated for cognitive decline. You asked for documentation that she cannot make sound decisions. Do you want to explain?" That there was a long silence before Jennifer finally said, "David, I can explain. Your mother has been having episodes. I was just exploring options to help." "What episodes?" David asked. "Be specific," she claimed. "I was forgetting conversations and making accusations." She was speaking faster now, improvising her lies. David looked straight at me. "Mom, are you forgetting conversations or getting confused?" "No," I said. "Clearly I am not confused about anything, but I am concerned about being secretly scheduled for psychiatric evaluations based on false symptoms." Jennifer's face turned red. "David, you do not understand what it has been." Like Jennifer, David's voice was calm, but sharp. "Stop talking now." After the call ended, Jennifer turned to me with fury. "You recorded my private conversation. You violated my privacy. You were planning to have me declared mentally incompetent based on lies," I replied calmly. The next morning, she tried a new tactic. She announced she had made an appointment for me with a psychiatrist. I told her I would not go. She said she could force me because she was my primary caregiver while David was deployed. Told her to call David right then and tell him I was refusing medical care and acting paranoid. She hesitated, realizing I had called her bluff. She backed down that afternoon while she was at yoga. I took action. I called Adult Protective Services and reported what was happening. The caseworker said what I described was elder abuse and that they could open an investigation. I also called David directly. He told me she had no legal authority over me and asked me to send him all my documentation. He said, "I am coming home early. I have emergency leave approved. I will be there Wednesday afternoon. Until then, be careful and do not let her isolate you." For the first time in months, I felt genuine hope by the weekend. Before David's return, Jennifer's behavior became more aggressive. She dumped all my clothes in garbage bags by the washing machine, claiming they smelled musty. She served me food so salty it was inedible, and then acted concerned about my weight. Monday morning, I overheard her telling someone on the phone, "The crazy old bat is finally starting to crack. By Thursday, David will be begging me to find her a nursing home." Recorded the entire conversation that afternoon. She told me she was leaving overnight to visit her mother. As soon as her car left, I called Pastor Williams and asked to stay at the church guest house. I also called David to tell him I was leaving the house until he arrived the next day. That night at the church, I felt peace. For the first time in months, no manipulation, no tension. The next morning, Jennifer started calling at 6, asking where I was and pretending to be worried. She accused me of being confused about where I lived. I told her I had recordings of her planning to have me institutionalized and ended the call. She then called David, claiming I left a note saying I could not take it anymore and might harm myself. David told me she was threatening to call police to report me as missing with dementia. At 10:30, Pastor Williams told me police were there. They said Jennifer had reported me missing. I calmly explained that I had left voluntarily because of harassment from my daughter-in-law. The officers noted that I seemed completely clear and told me what I described could be elder abuse. I called David. After the police left, she actually called the police, he said in a low, angry voice. She reported you as missing with dementia. The officers saw through it immediately. Good, Mom, I will land at 3 this afternoon. Meet me at the house at 4. It is time. Jennifer and I had a conversation she will never forget. When David's rental car pulled into the driveway, I was standing on the porch of the house that was legally mine. He looked tired from travel, but his expression was focused and determined. You ready for this, Mom? He asked. I have been ready for months, I replied. We walked inside. Jennifer came from the kitchen, smiling with fake relief. Margaret, thank God you are safe. I was so worried. Stop, David said quietly. She switched to a devoted wife tone. David, I did not know what to do when your mom vanished. I said, stop talking. David repeated, sit down, we need to talk. He played the first recording, the one where she asked the doctor for documentation of my incompetence. Her face went pale. He played the second recording of her saying she would have me in a nursing home by Thursday. This time she had no quick reply. David told her he had verified every story she told about me and found proof none of them were true. He told her the house was mine and she had 2 hours to pack and leave. Jennifer's confidence broke. She asked where she was supposed to go. David said he did not care. She accused me of turning him against her. He told her she had done that herself when she threatened to get a lawyer. David reminded her the house had been bought with my money before they were married and was never marital property. He also told her he had moved most of their joint savings into a separate account. Jennifer's face changed from anger to shock to pure hatred. She told me this was all my fault. I answered calmly, this is all you're doing. I just survived it. Less than 2 hours later, she drove away without saying goodbye. Divorce took over a year. Jennifer fought for everything. She claimed she had provided unpaid caregiving and demanded spousal support. But in court, David's lawyer presented medical records proving my health and recordings of Jennifer admitting her lies. The judge gave her nothing except her own belongings and ordered her to pay part of David's legal fees. She was also given a restraining order, keeping her 300 feet away from me and the house. David took leave to help me reclaim the home. We redecorated and planted a garden. Slowly it became a peaceful place again. I found part-time work at a local nonprofit that gave me purpose and independence. A year after the divorce, I saw Jennifer drive by the house. She looked older and tired. Months later, I heard she had moved to Florida and remarried. I doubted she had changed. 2 years later, I saw her again at a community event. She came up to me and tried to blame her behavior on stress. I simply told her I hoped she had found happiness in life and walked away. The fear and anger she had caused were gone. I was stronger now, more sure of myself. I started leading a support group for seniors who had experienced abuse. I told them to trust their own perceptions and reminded them they deserved dignity and respect. I had once been someone living at the mercy of a person who wanted me gone. Now, I was someone who would never let that happen again. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Secret Affairs Exposed for more powerful real-life stories like this one.